Ryan Little.
Welcome everybody, this is OG, we're building greatness. We're here again with another episode. I want to thank all my supporters, the Genesis Radio family, and everybody who supports and tunes into our radio station and listens to our great information. We have a very special guest here today. We have Brandon Scott with Threat Assessment and Tactical Solutions Group in East Stroudsburg, PA. And here you go. This is, I want you to tell them about yourself and tell them, about that real quick.
I'm Brandon Keir, owner of Threat Assessment Tactical Solutions Group. We are located at 103 Kramer Avenue. That's in Stroudsburg. 3rd Street, if you're familiar. Once you pass Rite Aid, before you get to the park, we're on the right-hand side in that red warehouse building. I'm a former federal air marshal and veteran, and we use this training system that's, the business with the air marshals constantly. I'm sure you've heard OG talk about it a lot. When I was on Sister Chat, talked about it a lot. So what the training system actually is, to give you a breakdown, it's real guns, and we convert them to shoot non-lethal marking rounds. So you're probably thinking, is that paintball, is it airsoft? Like, I don't understand. So you take paintball, which is messy and inaccurate, and you take airsoft, which does not leave a mark at all, but very accurate, but you don't really know if you got hit or not, depending on the amount of clothing you're wearing. And you marry the two together, and you have the best of both worlds. So the non-lethal marking rounds, when they shoot and they hit you, it stings a little bit, but it's all part of the pain penalty and the realism of the training. And once it strikes the target, it just leaves a star-like paint pattern on that person or on that target. And what that does is it gives you a very good visual shot placement of where your shots were when you fired at that target, which you can't really get with paintball, nor can you get with airsoft. These non-lethal marking rounds are within 200ths of an inch accurate, like a live round. So it's extremely accurate. And for the longest time, law enforcement and military have been using this training system. So that just goes to show that this is the real deal. This is the stuff that brings you as close to the fight without actually being in a firefight or being close to a threat. So this gives you the ability to train like you've never trained before with a firearm. That's really it.
Yeah, so it's basically scenario-based firearms training. Gives you the opportunity to see what it's like to be able to actually use your firearm in a situation where you have to draw it,
That's right. So think of it this way, for the longest time, us as civilians, we've purchased a firearm for self-defense. The only place to go to practice for self-defense is at a shooting range. Well, what's a shooting range? It's static.
Right.
Those targets do absolutely nothing back. There's no realism about them. Sure, some of them have people on them or whatever, but again, it's at different yardages that you physically place the target, whether electronically or walk it down and place it in front of you. But again, you practice those basic fundamentals under no stress. You're taking your time when you're setting up your stance, your grip, you're focusing on your sights and that actual shot. Getting back on that recoil and that sight alignment and sight picture that you get. Everything is at your own pace. So in all actuality, when you take those skills and you may actually have to use them in real life, you're not experiencing half of what you'll experience when you experience, being faced with a threat. So what Threat Assessment Tactical Solutions does, TATS, we actually place you in real threat scenarios against live trained role players. It's the greatest training aid you could ever have if you were a responsible gun owner and you have a firearm for personal defense.
Right. Because again, like, engagement is very important, and a lot of people forget about that when they get a firearm. Is that, yes, you have a nice firearm, yes, you have top notch, whatever you want to call, whatever you have. You can say, oh, I have an HK, or I have a, whatever it is. All these high-end firearms and all the mags you could carry around your belt. To me, are pretty useless when you don't. When your heart starts racing and your eyes get a little glossy and your brain waves change, how do you react under that pressure? It's so much more important than just having a firearm and knowing how, because I hear people all the time, I'm a firearms instructor, and I hear people say, I have good grouping, or I've had a firearm for 20 years, I shoot at this distance, this many yards, and then when you bring them under the stress of what you're saying, when you bring them to that challenge, the whole story changes. And I equate it to the difference between a boxer doing shadow boxing and a boxer actually getting in a ring and sparring with a real boxer and getting hit in the head, so.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. When we go to a range, again, everything is under our own time frame. So we take our time getting that stance. Well, let me tell you something. When you're actually faced with a threat, are you going to be worried about your stance, or even have time to be in your stance? Are you going to be sitting down? Are you going to be standing? Are you going to be to the side?
Or did you get knocked upside your head, and are you on the ground and you have to react after you're already wounded?
Exactly. So as far as, going to a shooting range and practicing those basic fundamentals, which I do suggest, obviously. I mean, it is a great place to learn those basic fundamentals, but mind you, half of those basic fundamentals you will not use when you're faced with a threat. You just won't. The sight picture, the precision sight alignment that you may have whenever you're in a range. You will not have the time to get that beautiful sight picture, equal height, equal light, and all that stuff when you're faced with a threat. You just won't do it.
Right.
There's just a lot of factors that are in play when you're faced with a threat that don't matter, when you're at the range. You can study, like I said, all the basic fundamentals all you want at a range, but whenever you get to the real deal, half that stuff you're not even going to use.
Yeah. And I want callers, if you have any questions for Brandon, please call in at 888-304-4401. That's 888-304-4401. If you have any questions for Brandon and you want to get a little more insight to what he does, please don't hesitate to call in if we did not answer your questions. But we're going to go into a little bit of depth about this scenario-based shooting system and firearms training system, which I've been an advocate. Everybody who knows me personally, and even on social media, I've always been an advocate of scenario-based training in general, whether it's fighting, whether it's hand-to-hand combat, but especially with firearms, because you're dealing with something that is, you're dealing with an instrument that can take somebody's life. And I think that, no matter what kind of a skill you have, you could always sharpen your skills and get better. So that's why I think it is essential to have a school or a facility like what we have here with TATS, because you get a chance to evaluate your progress and evaluate your flaws and correct them so that you're a more proficient, you're a more proficient shooter and reactor.
Absolutely. I mean, if you own a firearm specifically for self-defense, it's lying on your nightstand or it's somewhere in the home, and you just keep it there for, that home invasion scenario, that situation that just scares the heck out of you, or you carry your firearm every day with you, not knowing what could happen at any moment while you're outside your home, you owe it to yourself to at least take the course once, at least try it. This is a non-ego facility. We're not here to dominate you. We're not here to, get on you. We're all here to learn. And this is one of those instances in life, OG, where, we say to each other all the time, well, you're what-ifing too much, and how will you ever know? And, you can't what-if everything. Well, here's an environment where you actually can what-if the heck out of every scenario.
Right.
You can think of it, we can replay it for you. Whatever your worst-case scenario is, call us, email us. We'll put something together for you so we can go over that scenario. It's just the whole business is about safety, you know, and we're trying to bridge the gap between basic firearm fundamentals at a static environment and the real deal. You know, we are a 360-degree dynamic firearm training facility where there's live trained role players. Some are shoot role players, some are no shoot role players.
Right.
You know, just because you're, you know, don't think that we're just going to throw you in a scenario where every situation is going to be a shoot scenario.
Right.
You know, because there could be an opportunity where you could use some verbal judo to talk that threat down, so
Right.
you don't have to actually use or pull that trigger. We go into a lot of that stuff. We're not lawyers by any means. But we do go into a little bit of, you know, the use of force curriculum. Every time you expose your firearm or
Right.
draw your firearm or point your firearm to shooting, to missing, to actually hitting and possibly killing that target, you know, if you were wrong in that use of force continuum,
Right.
we tell you what the police will actually charge you with, you know, for doing something wrong, you know. So, you know, and we also get into not the legalities of it, but just because you have a good shoot doesn't mean the cops are going to come give you a high five and say, you know, great shot, bro.
Right.
You
right.
know, they're going to take your firearm,
Mhm.
they're going to handcuff you,
Right.
they're going to read you your rights. You know, you're going to get thrown in the back of a cop car and you're going to get taken down to the station. And it doesn't even end there. Depending on who you shot, you know, their family could prosecute you. And now you're going to court.
Right.
So now you're not only dealing with the emotional and physical and psychological stuff that you just shot somebody and everything that's going on, but now you could face all the financial hardships of actually going to court and dealing with that stuff. So we kind of brush up on all that to let you know, once you pick up that firearm for personal defense, it's not just all about the shooting in this scenario. There's more to it. There's a lot more responsibility for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with that responsibility, again, you want to also make good judgment. So it helps you work out good judgment. And a key word that you say, when we talk all the time, is working through problems.
Sure.
So you also learn problem solving abilities as well, which helps you develop a fine-tuned reaction, rather than overreacting. And most of the time, 80% of the time, you could actually talk or walk down the situation. And I noticed that you have you have a dummy, you have a striking bag, and these are things that, like you said, that it may not always be a shooting-based scenario. So, yeah, you're going to hit that bag a couple of times and then get back on your horse and be ready to rock, So, getting that heart rate up, getting the confusion going on, and knowing that, this is real deal. And I think that everybody, not only civilians, but if you think about going into the military, if you're thinking about going into law enforcement, if you think about becoming an armored car driver or a correction officer, anybody who's going to use a firearm, this is the same thing as if you're taking a driver's, like if you're gonna drive a car, you need driving lessons, you want to know what it's like to turn a corner, like, try to throw somebody in a car without them ever driving a car, doesn't matter how much they read,
Yep.
So it's equivalent to that in this case.
That's right, yeah. And what's most important of all of this actually is, you have no idea what the physiological stressors are when you're getting thrown into a threat until you actually get to that point. If you've never been, if you've never had the audible hearing, the tunnel vision, the memory loss, everything going through your mind a mile a minute, literally
Right.
a mile a minute. Take all of that, throw that in the scenarios that we give you. I can't guarantee that you're going to have all of them, but you will experience some physiological effects that you will face when you're actually faced with a threat. And trying to work through, like you said, the problem solving while all of that's going on, that's the hardest thing.
Right.
Trying to figure out do I shoot, do I not shoot? What's going on?
Who's behind them?
It's just, your target and beyond, knowing that.
Right.
If you're in home defense, that's another key thing, Just because somebody's in the room and he's posing a threat to you and you pull that firearm, well, who's behind him?
Right.
A child? You know, mom,
Your
dad,
neighbor.
the neighbor. I mean, you just never know who's in that home. So those are just some of those things that we kind of point out and increase that survivability for you when you come to our shop.
Yeah, and I think that's the essence of that. Is it's more like a school. It's like I said, a technical school. You know, you're learning the technical applications to apply to your life, and like it doesn't stop at one time. So there are always different variables, and in your facility, I noticed that you can change different rooms around because, like, you have an office, you have a bedroom, you have a kitchen. You have different scenarios that are kind of interchangeable, and you can change them around to suit the student or this learning process.
Exactly. So how it's set up right now, because it's so difficult to interchange the scenarios every day.
Right.
So what we do is we line up a scenario a month. We have 16 rooms, 2 hallways, and we have a multi-vehicle scenario area where you can actually pull in 2 vehicles, do those road rage scenarios, parking lot scenarios. You know, you just left a shop or a store or something, and you're going to your car through a parking lot. But each of those rooms, just like you said, OG, are interchangeable. So we built it to where you can literally take all that furniture out. Right now it's set up for home defense, but you could take all that furniture out, put completely different furniture, office furniture,
Right.
just convenience store furniture, or you know, the things that hold all the, you know, the bread and stuff, like right in the aisle and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, for those those armed convenience store robbery scenarios.
Right.
We have 3 rooms right now that are set up for workplace violence in the workplace.
Yes.
So we have 3 offices. You know, if you're allowed to take your firearm to the office, as long as it's stowed properly in your desk and whatnot, but you're worried about that disgruntled employee that you may work with, that's
Right.
you know, whatever, or you know, maybe there's an active threat that might pop in. We can set everything up to have like a reception area for people to wait, a receptionist desk, you know, and a role player actually playing that secretary or that receptionist, and then those 3 offices. You know, so it could be a doctor's area or
Right.
just some kind of corporate style, whatever. You know, we do everything from active shooter to home defense to, you know, any kind of vehicle scenarios you can think of, convenience store scenarios. Actually, we don't even, you know, for home defense,
Right.
we don't have to start inside the home.
Right.
What if you just pull up
Yeah.
from being somewhere and you see flashlights inside your house knowing that nobody's there?
Exactly.
We go through that whole concept of, well, what do you do in that situation? So it's fun, and I have to stress that it is very fun. But I also have to stress that it is extremely, extremely important, and you will learn a lot. It is the best firearms training that you will ever get. It is the most realistic firearm training you will ever get. And your life may depend on it. I mean, when it all comes down to it, it may.
Yeah.
How do you know how you're going to do if you're ever faced with a threat unless you give it a shot?
Absolutely. And again, like I said, I have, hopefully some of them watch, like I have friends in law enforcement in different areas, like, you know, ex-military, current military, or going into the military. We have somebody calling in. Hold on, we have a caller. Hello, caller. This is Building Greatness. You're on with Brandon Scott and O.G. Akins. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Cornelia from New Jersey.
How you doing, Miss
I
Wright?
just had a quick question. I am enjoying the show as usual. You know, hello, Building Greatness. Hi, Genesis Radio, and OG, always hello to you. And Brandon, welcome.
Thank you.
I call all the time.
Yes.
But I just had a question. I know you're talking about weapons training, but what about, is there any other type of training in addition to that you're learning, you know, too, as far as the tactical aspect of it?
Well, right now, with my background and my experience, is just with firearms. Unfortunately, I'm not.
With firearms, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Are you referring to kind of like some kind of hand-to-hand, you know, maybe some firearm manipulation if maybe you don't have a firearm but you're faced with a threat that does, what you can do
Yeah.
to actually, okay. That's what I kind of thought, and to be honest with you, you're not the first person that's actually inquired about that with business. I am currently working on trying to find a very good hand-to-hand self-defense instructor that I can kind of bring on my team, and we can teach those types of abilities. You know, we're all about safety and true realism, you know, so trying to get away from the hokey-pokey self-defense stuff that you might find here and there and actually give real good training, hand-to-hand stuff that you might actually physically use in the real world. We're working on that. So if you want to subscribe to the website, tatstraining.com, please do. We're always updating, you know, sending out updates and discounts and so on and so forth. So you'll always be in the loop first as to what's going on with the website and what kind of training we're bringing up.
And we have an open house coming up too.
Oh, there's open house?
Yeah.
Right. And my other question is, my second question is, also, I think, you know, in certain scenarios, I just feel, I just was thinking about something. I was thinking about something that one of my uncles taught me years ago. You know, like if you're walking down the street, you know, people walk so unaware of their surroundings and stuff like that. But, you know, those kinds of things where, you know, especially as women that we're, you know, you might be walking on a dark street by yourself. How do you navigate when you're walking and it's maybe a little bit late at night and you're by yourself? Is that included in some of the tactical information that you provide?
Actually, it is, believe it or not, and I'll even kind of briefly go over that. You know, you yourself, ma'am, if you just get off your phone, women, ladies, get off your damn phone. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Just don't be on it that much. If you see somebody that just doesn't look right or just makes you feel uncomfortable, which we all do, we all have seen those people, just stand a little bit more upright, look them in their eyes, check their hands. You know, right then and there, you're telling that individual that you're not going to be an easy target. I mean, it's as simple as that. You look them straight in the eye, you stand up a little bit, you know, and get off your phone and pay more attention in your situational awareness. And you're going to automatically let that person know that you're not going to be an easy target. So the chances of them actually doing something towards you are going to decrease a little bit by doing that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I thank you so much for that, Brandon, because, you know, along with what you're doing, because that's, you know, that's critical, what you're talking about. And I just think if you're going to invest, you know, in a firearm you're legally carrying, that you know, to take the training, learn how to use it properly. And then all the other information that you're giving out will also be helpful. And I thank you for that as well.
And I thank you for calling. I appreciate it, Cornelia.
Okay.
All right, bye now.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. You take care, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, and keep listening. Okay.
Always, always.
All right.
Now.
You will be invited to the TATS group, the TATS Facebook page too, as well, and the website.
Oh, yeah, I saw it on Facebook, and I actually was very interested because the way the marketing is done is the graphic. It was very interesting, so it immediately caught my attention.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And stay tuned for some videos that we'll be also posting. Okay.
Definitely, I'll be looking out. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
all right.
Cornelia, you too. Stay safe.
Thank you for calling in.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Listen, that number is 888-304-4401. If you're looking, if you have any questions, if you own a firearm and you think that you know what you're doing and you think you got it, why don't you put yourself through the ultimate test and see how you react under pressure and in a real-life scenario situation that's safe, and learning some real principles. And these are the things that you're going to learn. And he said a key word, situational awareness.
Huge.
Exactly. So explain situational awareness to the audience.
Situational awareness is just being more observant of your surroundings. I mean, that's just the basic definition that just is all around understandable. You know?
Right.
Not being on our phones as much. That's huge. I mean, with today's day and age of technology and Facebook and social media and who texted me, and since they texted me, I have to text back. And so, I mean, that's just what we're at. That's
right.
Where we are in life right now. You know, when you're walking on the streets, just get off your phone.
Yeah.
You know, if you hear that ring, then just kind of duck into a shop maybe, or whatever, and maybe look at your phone at that point. But when you're walking those streets, you never know what's going to happen. just get off your phone. Just pay more attention to your surroundings, to who's around you. It doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you some doomsday prepper to pay
Right.
more attention to what's going on in the
Right.
outside world.
Right.
It just makes you a little bit more aware and prepared. And that's the key, is preparing, you know.
Yeah, and what would you say, like I have a lot of people in my network that are, you know, executive protection, private security, and they're in the field and they want to hone up their skills. What would you say, what would you offer for guys in that field?
Call me. We can talk about all kinds of good stuff.
Right.
You know, actually one of my instructors did a lot of, he was a former Marine, and he did a lot of distinguished protection and so on and so forth for a lot of higher up, you know,
Right.
larger than my pay grade
Right.
in his. But he did a lot of personal protection for some DVs in the field. So he would be more of the expert on that. But give us a call. I mean, the whole thing is if you are not interested in whatever scenario we have, or maybe we're not mentioning or throwing up scenarios on the website that kind of interest you, email us. I mean,
Right.
all it takes is a little email. You know, the worst that we could say is, well, we can't do that. But I guarantee you, we're not going to give you that answer.
Right.
Whatever you can think of, we will put together for you. And we can do that in a private setting. If you have a group, email us. Let us know who all, you know, how many people you want in your group, what you would actually like to see. Do you guys want to be together in scenarios, or girls, or ladies, I should say, in the scenarios? Just anything. You know, we do private, we do group, we do parties.
Mhm.
Businesses, we do team building exercises, because it's a great way to get all of your team members together that you work with, all your colleagues, and put them in an active shooter situation. How well are you going to work with each other?
Right.
You know, are you going to work as a team? Who's running away?
Right.
Who's staying for the fight? You know, and so on and so forth. So, you know, we can do. You call us or email us. We will put something together for you, no doubt.
And that goes for, like I said, civilians, first-time gun owners, non-gun firearm owners who don't have any, but would like to, law enforcement who wants to chisel up their skills, who, you know, I know a couple who've never joined their pistol or their weapon, and I understand that, and they still would like to know what to do under that pressure, as well as they get training as well. But this is, again, like, you know, it's okay to do calisthenics, but sometimes you want to go in a weight room and hit a little weights, you know, get your weight up. And, you know, there are so many different avenues for everybody to be part of this. If you own a store in PA and in Pennsylvania and, you know, you want to know how it feels like to be in an active shooter situation, I would advise you to come to the open house and let them know about the date for the open house.
Yeah, so the date is September 13th at 4 p.m. It's just a small get-together, you know, for a couple hours from 4 to 6 p.m. Come in, you'll get to meet me. Hopefully my other instructor, training safety officer, will be there, and his service dog, Chocolate, so you'll get to meet him. But here's your opportunity to ask us any questions you have on a personal level. We're here to answer any questions you have, show you around the facility a little bit. You'll get a little bit of that touchy-feely hands-on with the converted firearms that you'll be using in the scenarios, as well as the non-lethal marking rounds that you'll use. We'll actually allow you to pop up a couple rounds. Hopefully that eases and desensitizes you a little bit with the anxiety of, oh my God, I've been to a range once and it was just, I became so anxious because all I heard was pop, 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 and it was, no, this is completely different. It's actually quite amazing because the gun itself, like I said, is a real firearm converted to shoot non-lethal marking rounds. So the decibel level of these is actually significantly lower than an actual firearm. So hearing protection is not required, which is great. So you're not bogged down by hearing things. Your ears are very much open to hearing things around you and so on and so forth, you know, especially as you're going through those scenarios. But yeah, so we'll give you a little hands-on experience with the converted firearms and non-lethal marking rounds. And we're actually going to, you can actually register to win. We're going to give away 1 free hour of training.
1 free hour, guys.
So you got to come to sign up. But yeah, we're going to give away 1 free hour of training. A little disclaimer with the open house is, go on the website, go under the FAQs, and look at the parking. Unfortunately, parking isn't awesome. I don't have a huge parking lot.
Right.
About 5 spaces that you can park right in front of the facility, and about 4 spaces right off to the right of it, and right behind Rite Aid. Unfortunately, but it's all within a very short walking distance, and shouldn't be any problems.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, we'll be out there. I'll be out there to help direct people. You know, if there's have any problems with parking, finding a place. But if you're coming from my network, it's a very, like I said, it's a place that you want to come. I would hope that everybody tries to come to the open house. You have more than one. I know you have an open house, but will you have more events where people can come and get to see the facility after, even if they missed the open house?
Yeah, if you missed the open house, let me know. Just, you know, if you can't make it, you know, right now you can't make it, just email me. Go on Facebook, leave me a message on the Facebook page, or go on the website and leave me an email saying, hey Brandon, I can't make it, but I definitely want to come. We'll get together and we'll work something out for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because I guarantee you people are going to really, once you get a chance to really you'll get a chance to see it, because I know everybody sees the tats, you know, you see me wearing it, and you see it on the cars, and if you out here in the town, you hear about it, but going there is a whole nother experience. You're going to feel it, smell it. It's like, you know, it's like you're in a real situation. So I encourage people, if you own a firearm, if you don't own a firearm, if you're interested in anything about firearm safety or just in general how it all works, I would say come, check the place out, but sign up. Go to the website. The website's going to be listed under the video that I have. After these videos are posted, you'll have the links where you can call in. I mean, you can sit there and go into the website, log in, get a chance to see everything you want to know about the place. And we're going to have some videos soon coming out to give you a little deeper into what we do. Because seeing the videos, I know, is going to give you another level of understanding of how it all works. So that number is 888-304-4401.
I was just going to say that, you know, if you do go on the website, tatstraining.com, I do have 2 videos there. I'm actually speaking and going over the firearm system that you're going to use. So, you know, I go over the 2 different firearms that you're going to be using, the converted guns. I talk a little bit about them. I show you the actual rounds, the non-lethal marking rounds that that you'll be using. And then I give a demo at the end, actually shooting, so you can actually hear the sound through the GoPro, and the actual shot placement of what the marker actually looks like, the paint marker looks like when it's on target. So it kind of, again, gives you a better idea of what the system is. Also within those videos is a collaboration of maybe like 4 or 5, I think, scenarios that we've done so far. Just quick tidbits, you know, that kind of go over and kind of give you an idea. We understand that visual is huge. You know, I can't expect you to pay $100 for a T-shirt that I just described to you, right? It's the same thing, right? Why would you pay X amount of money for a class? Sure, it sounds cool, but you don't have really any idea of what it is. I understand that. I get it. There's nothing like this around. This is a completely specialized, different business that is just unbeknownst to Stroudsburg and the surrounding areas. It really is. So I get it. But give it a shot. I mean, like I said, military and law enforcement have been using this training system since the 1980s, and they still use it today. Why? Because it's extremely effective. It's the only way to get those troops and those officers to be a part of lifelike scenarios so they can do their job accurately and to the best of their ability while being under the physiological and psychological stressors of being faced with a threat. So they can make those quick shoot, no shoot decisions while under those stressors.
Right.
Why are they able to do it and civilians aren't? You're legally allowed to carry a firearm. You should be able to go through, I shouldn't say the same training. Obviously, you're not in the military. You know, some of you aren't in the military or law enforcement, but you should still be able to use this training system to its fullest ability to challenge yourself and be prepared for that what-if scenario. That's the key. It's getting yourself. I lost my train of thought, but it's putting yourself into those situations so you are completely 100% focused and feel more confident when
Right.
you're placed, if you're ever placed in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think confidence allows people to, again, to be a little bit more relaxed on their trigger finger, because when you're confident, you're not over exaggerating your movements. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not hyperventilating. You're calm because you understand, how to breathe, how to focus. And like I said, it doesn't mean that when if something does happen and you get in a real scenario, it doesn't mean that you're just going to be, super. It just means you're going to be better than somebody who has not trained. You'll be a better engager for an opponent. If that opponent feels like, it may be more than one person. Again, like people always think that, it's going to be just one-on-one shoot, or, I'm going to have the right hand at the right time doing the right thing. You may not have that arm. You may have already, that right arm might have been compromised.
Right.
So you may have to use your left. So you learn to use your left through different, as you say, different drills and things like that allow you to use different parts
Sure.
in different times.
Yep.
And you could be on the floor. So these are all important factors. It's just like, I equate it to fighting. It's good to know how to fight. I know a lot of guys who know how to hit people and do all kind of good things. They're quick, very accurate. But once you hit them, it changes the game. When they see them double and they're spinning around and they're like, okay, how do you react? How do you recover? Or as Edmund Dorso says, what is your resilience? I have a friend, Edmund Dorso, is a martial artist who focuses on resilience and that, that pop back, right on point, how do you do that? And again, like you said, law enforcement, military does it. Civilians also, if you're going to have the same type of firearm in your hands or on your person, that it is essential that you get to use these skills and know how to do it well, enough that you take these classes regularly. I would say like once a month you should get this type of training. But again, I may be going over the top, but I would assure you if you had this once a month training, you would notice the difference in everything, even in your thinking and your operation of your everyday life, because it affects everything. It affects your awareness and how you deal with people,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we go through a lot. So, right off the bat, you're probably thinking, if you haven't gone to the website yet, is how much is this course and how long is it? I understand that nobody wants to sit in a classroom and do stuff for 8 hours a day. You just don't,
Right.
You got stuff to do, I understand that. So, it's a 5-hour class. It's $175, and what you get with that is, our PowerPoints and our presentations and everything we go through as far as the classroom is the actual structure. It's the handouts, everything you'll see on the slide is what you get to take home. It is the outline of the program. So when you take it home, you can always revert back to the handouts and say, okay, yeah, I remember reading about that, or hey, I want to practice this now that I'm home. Also, what you get, on top of the handouts in the whole curriculum is we attach GoPros to the safety helmets that you're going to be wearing. So there's safety equipment you obviously wear. It's a full face and head mask. You wear a throat protector and a groin protector. So on the mask that you wear, we attach GoPros. So every scenario you go through, you'll get that first-person view of how you did going through that actual scenario. So, after the course is done, the class is over, we edit it a little bit, and then we send it to you. And that's for you to do whatever you want with. Share it with your friends, your family, Facebook, whatever you want. Revert back to it. Constantly look back. Hey, how did I do this? Or, hey, I remember that time that, I kind of screwed up here, but what did Brandon say or the instructor say whenever I screwed up of how I could do better? But it's yours.
Right.
For free. I mean, that's all part of the cost of the course. And most importantly, it's the experience. Where else are you going to get to be in a real threat scenario without actually being in a real threat scenario to practice that skill set, with your firearm for personal protection? You can't get it anywhere.
Right.
So.
And you can't get it without the ego, because again, I've had, being a firearms instructor, I've ran into a lot of ego-dominated people who make it difficult for new people to learn, or people who are fresh. It's very difficult to learn. We have that kind of pressure. It's good to have the pressure when you're learning as a civilian. Like but when you have somebody, you know, what's good about you, as you said, it's ego-free. Like when you come in there, you're not being, you know, you're there to learn a lesson. And if there's anything hard, it's going to be you figuring out how to work through an issue.
Sure.
Not worrying about the guy standing over your shoulder who's having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's essential to learning, is having the right type of instructors. And this is why I support TATS, is because, you know, the type of person you are and the type of people that I'm sure you have there are very patient, and they're teaching people the real thing. So, you know, there's not a lot of room for that. So when people feel uncomfortable about going, they're going to feel very comfortable in your facility, you know.
And we try our best to do that. You know, this is the real deal. I mean, this is it. We're trying to bridge that gap between reality and static training environment. And the best way to do that is to be humble, to work with the student, and try to give that one-on-one or that student-instructor ratio as low as possible, so we can work with you. You know, if you're having a problem, you're struggling, no worries. We're going to work with you.
Right.
We're not here to push you out the door because we have another class coming or whatever. I mean, we will spend the time with you and make sure that you understand the concepts of what we're going over, and you feel confident coming out of there saying, you know what, if I carry my firearm with me every day, or I carry it in my nightstand, if something happened, I now feel more confident and comfortable with my firearm than I did before I came in.
Right.
You know, and I believe that now my survivability rate is higher
Yes.
than what it was before I even came in here. That's our goal, you know, and we will not accept anything less. If you don't feel like you have attained that, we will work with you until you do.
Right.
That's just how we are.
Right. And it is a school. It is to me, it's a school. I mean, you are learning the fundamentals. You are learning the basics, and again, you're having exams. You have to test this, going out there and doing it in the facility.
Absolutely.
Coming against some of these role players. And role play is so important, especially nowadays when we're really trying. I think role play is very good for a lot of different things, especially when it comes to this type of situation and this type of instrument you're using, because it allows people to have different variables of things happen. It could be somebody just walking behind you, and then you have to turn, or it could be down a hallway, and it could, like you said, it could be that your kid's in the next room, or your coworker's in the next room, and that thin wall is very thin. So you want to make sure you're really good at what you're doing, or being able to hold your composure when you have to.
Yeah.
You know. So again, it's essential. And that number's 888-304-4401. Please call in if you have any questions, if you have anything that you're interested in, that you want to ask Brandon about, please do. If you do have this background training and there's something that we didn't cover, call in. And 888-304-4401. We're here to take your calls. We're here to answer your questions. And, we're going to continue the conversation until you call. Okay?
Absolutely. So just a brief description of the types of courses that we offer. There's 3 basic courses that we offer. One is Force-on-Force Novice. That's for the individual thinking about buying a firearm for personal protection, or maybe has one already but doesn't really frequent the range that much. They really need to brush up on those fundamental skills. So we include some of those basic fundamental brush-ups in that course, that Force-on-Force Novice. Force-on-Force Experienced is for that individual that does carry their firearm on them every day, or does frequent the range a little more often than the average person. And they have their grip down, the stance, and all that good stuff. And we also have a woman's Force-on-Force, and this one's kind of this one's actually kind of cool, because what we do with you ladies is we understand that a lot of us, we don't carry purses. Right?
Right.
So you have a little bit more holster opportunities than we do. But how many ranges have you been to that you could actually practice pulling from those different holsters? Especially the purse, because I know a lot of you ladies, and don't say you don't, but a lot of you ladies that do have a firearm, concealed carry permit, you toss it in your purse, whether it's in a holster or it's not. How many times have you actually practiced pulling from your purse with that firearm? Probably never.
Right.
Here's an opportunity where you get to have that, to do that safely and effectively. And the whole goal of that is to understand what holster works for you. Does keeping my firearm in my purse work for me better than it does on my person?
Right.
Or, you know, I guess you ladies have, I guess they have like bra holsters and corset holsters and all kinds of stuff.
And garter holsters.
Garter holsters, right. I mean, we're not going to be using garters, the garter holsters and whatnot. But, we do have holsters you can use for your purse. Actually, a couple types. We have in the waistband holsters and so on and so forth. So for those courses, it's neat because you actually finally have an opportunity to see if the holster you use and where you use it, how effective is it? Is it even right for you? Right. You've been carrying it there for how long? Now you get an opportunity to say, oh shit, you know, I've been carrying it around like this for about a year, and this really is not the right place for me. So now you have an opportunity to change it to make it, you know, a little bit more effective for you. But you'll learn everything that you would in the novice and experienced course. You just have a little bit better opportunity to actually draw and fire from those holster positions for you. So moving on, once you complete one of those 3 basic courses, we have a force-on-force one-on-one. So what that is, all right, you've gone through a scenario, and you want to do more of that scenario. Right. Maybe you want to do another scenario, but you just want to do just scenarios. We hear you, roger that. So what we did was we got rid of all the PowerPoints, we got rid of all the students, so now it's just you, me, the role player, and just an hour's worth of straight scenarios. So there's going to be a lot of stopping and starting, questions that you're going to have, answers that we'll give, you know, and just keep going through until you feel even more comfortable and even more proficient with your firearm in that specific situation. And you know, we give you that opportunity. If you advance from that point, or you advance from the basic course and you say, you know what, I'll do the hour's worth of scenarios another day, but I want to get into this advanced force-on-force. Well, the advanced force-on-force is 8 hours, $350, okay? And what that includes, though, is this is where it becomes even more fun, because now you start getting into even more things that you wish you could do with the firearm practice-wise that you could never do before. And that's malfunctions, working through malfunctions, and doing reloads, magazine reloads, all while under the stress of being in a scenario. So we go over some drills to practice those reloads, magazine exchanges, malfunctions, working through, you know, we put you through some drills, and then we actually go into the actual scenarios where we'll manipulate your magazine. So as you're engaged with a threat, you may have a malfunction that you now have to work through as you're engaging in that threat.
Right.
We'll also go through some scenarios where we'll dim the lights, give you a flashlight, go over that whole spiel. So now we're working with low light,
right,
using a flashlight, working through malfunctions, and doing reloads, all while under the physiological and psychological stressors. So that's why it becomes an 8-hour course, because now we're getting into the intricate details of an even more advanced force-on-force class, getting even more survivability knowledge that could help you in now what would be any type of scenario, you know, light, low light, using flashlights, malfunctions, reloads, so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, that's great, and you're going to get a nice adrenaline rush. So you know, you guys are going to, you know, whoever's there, you're going to get it. You're going to get the whole 9 yards. So I encourage you, people on my network, you already know where I stand on this. So, but anybody who's new, who doesn't know me or who doesn't know Brandon, don't forget to sign up. Go to the TATS website. You can find it. If you're on Facebook, you can go to TATS website by going to the TATS page. TATS Threat Assessment Tactical Solutions Group page. You go there, and then right on the right-hand corner, you can see the link that takes you right to the website. Sign up. And I again, like I said, I'm encouraging people to challenge. This is a call-out for all you firearm owners who think you know. Why don't you try it? Why don't you come and put yourself through the test? how do you know how good you are unless you have used your blade? You know what I mean?
Let me stop you there. We'll even throw your bragging rights on the page and say that you completely dominated the role players and instructors while going through. I mean, if you are that confident, take it, do it. What's it actually going to hurt? I mean, you'll at least come out knowing that, oh, I knew I could do this to begin with.
Right.
Good for you. And we'll post it all over the place. This guy is a bad dude.
Yes.
Or this chick, or this woman is a bad woman, and I wouldn't mess with her. We'll throw you on the webpage. We'll throw your name out there and say how great you did and how wonderful you are. But the big thing is, challenge yourself.
Right.
How are you ever going to know unless you do it?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
We can all talk as much.
Right.
But, you know, unless you can walk with the talk, it's not even worth it. You know what I mean?
I always tell people, walk the walk, man. Don't talk to me about anything. You know what I mean? Walk it. Show me. You know what I mean? And this is a place where you can show it. So come on out. You know, show us what you have under controlled conditions and safe conditions, and with the right type of instructors, the right type of role players. You will, if you don't know, you're going to know after. And you'll know where to pick up, where to patch up, and the things that you need to work on. So, you know, like I said, we're coming to the end of the program, but we're going to continue this conversation. I want the audience to stay tuned because we're going to be talking a lot more about tats in the coming weeks. On my pages, you're going to see videos. We're going to be talking about it. So I thank you, Brandon, for coming here and talking to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want you to come back if you can.
Yes, sir.
Maybe whenever you're ready, so we can continue to go into this conversation.
Absolutely. And I just, real quick, I just want to let everybody know that, you know, our slogan is, when the time comes to survive, the time to prepare has passed. Think about that. To yourself, you know, after this program's over, just think about what that means. And it's absolutely true. That's what we live by. That's our slogan. And, you know, just come out. All right?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate all of the people who are listening. Next time, call in. We have next coming on is The Grind with Cal Stewart. And thank you, Genesis Radio. We have a nice platform to deliver this good, important message to you. And stay tuned. Don't forget to sign up at TATS. I'll be signing up. I'll be signing up. So sign up with me. All right, guys. Over and out.